everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here on a Friday edition. Normally we do this on Thursday, but we're here on Friday. And so welcome to the Impact Tribe podcast, where we meet exceptional people who create a positive impact in the world. I'm your host, Ashley Bright. We are streaming live on LinkedIn and YouTube. Please, if you are also on Instagram or YouTube, give us a follow or a subscribe. That is at the Impact Tribe podcast. Thank you in advance for that. And we are I'm super excited because just recently I've been able to get the audio versions of this up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So go check that out, the Impact Tribe podcast. We are now live as an audio only. And a big shout out to our new sponsor, StreamYard. If you're not familiar with StreamYard makes it easy to host and broadcast live shows, webinars, and interviews across all your favorite platforms. No technical knowledge required. I am proof of that. I'm using StreamYard right now. And so if you are interested, there is a 10% discount, which I'll put that little thing up there. But if you use the link that's in the description, you can get a $10 off. I said 10%, $10. So, all right, enough about all that. I would love to get to our incredible guest. This is someone I've known for many, many years, and we have kept in touch sporadically, but it's like we can just catch up right away. So I am so excited to welcome a veteran educational media curator who bridges the digital divide between quality online content and meaningful learning experiences. As the founder and editor of The Kids Should See This, a Webby Award-winning collection of over 7,000 kid-friendly videos, she spent over a decade curating exceptional educational media that sparks curiosity and conversations across generations. So with that, everyone, please put your hands together for my guest, Rion Nakaya. Hello, Rion. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I see that you are coming to us from what looks to be a beautiful, serene backyard, I assume.
Yes, it's the backyard.
That's not a digital background, right?
No, it's not. They're actual leaves.
Woo, there you go. It's rare these days to
Yeah,
actually have a real background.
I like to keep it authentic.
Well, thank you. How are things going? I know that we were talking in the green room about how you have just wrapped up sort of a whirlwind week or couple weeks of activity with school winding down and other things. Are you finally settling? Or are you still in a bit of a frenzy?
Well, for TKSST, the kids should see this. I usually operate on a school schedule since I'm curating videos that are often used in classrooms. And so the end of the year tends to be a little bit of a frenzy. And then in addition, the children who I kind of founded the website with are now going to both be in high school next year. So we had promotion activities and all of that, but they're my proof of concept. So
I love that. You have proof of concept, you have built-in experience, and our kids are they a year apart? Are
they're
only a
pretty
few months
close.
apart?
Yeah, they're pretty close.
My youngest just graduated middle school as well, so on to high school. My oldest is anxious to get the heck out. It's like, I need to get out of this town and go do something else. So, wow. Well, congratulations on making it this far.
Thank you. You too.
And we're still, well, I was going to say we still have our hair, but I don't. But I'm trying to compensate for it.
There you go.
The beard, yes. But, well, so on the topic of the kids should see this and the beginnings of that. So why don't you give us a little kind of context for sort of what brought about this initiative and how it's been going for you. I mean, this is over a decade now, right?
I think this summer it's 14 years.
Wow.
So
congratulations.
Thank you. Well, so when my son was, I think he was about 3, my daughter was a newborn, I was taking time off from work, and we were spending a lot of time I was answering 3-year-old questions, which were coming in great abundance. And a lot of the stuff, I had answers for some and I didn't have answers for others. So I would look online, having been an interactive designer and producer for a couple decades, maybe not at that point, but that's, YouTube was very young. It was only really a couple of years old. And so I would go hunting down for videos that would answer his questions, or, stuff that I thought, oh gosh, that would be really fun to watch. And this one time I think I was talking about scat singing,
Hmm.
doobie-dabba-dee-bop. And
Yeah.
that, and I went up looking Ella Fitzgerald because she's just the best at it. And I found this incredible clip of her performing on stage. I think it was 1969 or so. And, she's sweating and singing and laughing, repartee with the audience, and like worn out, but just like 100% giving it her all. And we watched that together. And
Hmm.
I think it was later in the week, he started scat singing to 3-year-old toddler style.
Yeah.
And I overheard it from the kitchen, and I kind of came in while he was playing with his toys. And I thought, oh, how cool is that? That like it
Mm.
really got to him. It's stuck in his head, and maybe it's a long-term memory, maybe not, but he connected with it, and how
Hmm.
cool. And so I started gathering all of these videos that I thought the kids should see.
Yeah.
And then over the years, as both of my kids grew, we had this collection and we would watch together here and there. They're all anywhere between like 3 and 6 or 7 minute, videos.
Yeah.
And it's now been 14 years and there are over 7,000 videos. And at some point, between my friends learning about it and it getting written up in a couple of online things, educators started finding it, other parents started finding it, and it's become an alternative to what what you might find, definitely what you might find in other YouTube silos of content. But
Hmm.
also at the time in 2011, I don't think there were as many cool shows. There's a lot more now that I think
Hmm.
is really
Hmm.
fun to watch with your kids. But I just felt like these were all videos that were, usually made for adults, but that were perfectly wonderful for kids that they could
Hmm.
enjoy. And so it's an opportunity not only to watch, arts and performances, but to learn, science and
Hmm.
see physics demonstrations or, different stuff about space, stuff that NASA is doing, just like a wide range of DIY projects, and it's kind of it spans all interests, which
Hmm.
kind of started with my family's and has spread out. And yeah, so it's just become a resource that provides a slice of YouTube that you don't have to deal with a lot of the other noise, the algorithmic noise,
Hmm.
the stuff maybe you don't want your kids to see.
I love that. That's so cool.
Hmm.
I remember that, when the kids were that young and just that, I mean, my oldest especially, geez, he was just constantly curious. He would
Mm-hmm.
not leave us alone. And but of course we didn't have the wherewithal in that fog to think of doing what you did. But I'm sure you have brought much joy and curiosity and learning, and probably truthfully a lot of peace to many parents out there that are going,
I've heard some nice things, and from teachers too. I've heard where some teachers said, "Oh, well, if they know that a video is queued up, that they're going to get in from recess and sit down and
"Mhm,
get quiet pretty quickly so that we can get to it." A lot of teachers will use it for, jump starting lessons, or
mhm,
maybe it's like a Friday fun thing that everybody can like gather around and talk about, or maybe they're finding videos that meet their interests and then
mhm."
kind of teaching the other kids about it or talking about it. It's a good jump starter for conversations at
Yeah.
school and at home. I think the kids and I have kind of built a shared vocabulary from kind of seeing all these different things, and then related stuff will come up as we're out or we'll watch something else. And well, it's kind of like that thing we saw,
Mhm.
about the physics and the copper and magnets dropping through copper tubes.
You
And
see
oh,
that
that's
little light
cool.
bulb go off?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not only on them, but me too.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
We're all learning together. And I think it's a great model for just kind of sharing education and
Mhm.
just being interested in the world.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, obviously, the curated, as you said, sort of, it's not algorithmically driven. It's very
Hmm.
much sort of at your own pace. But that shared learning experience is something that I find to be really critical. And I think,
Hmm.
because it allows for that. You've got multiple people seeing it in maybe different perspectives, but experiencing the same thing and then
Hmm.
talking about it. So I'm curious, how did you said that you got written up a few times and people started finding out about it. Did you have to do anything formally in terms of how you started to bring that into classrooms or education spaces?
It's wild. I mean, granted, keeping in mind that this was 14 years ago. The internet was smaller. There was a lot less noise. It was a lot less fractured. But I do have friends in New York that have, popular websites. And so that kind of networked it out just organically. That was just very lucky. And I think, after being written up a couple of times in different publications, educators started finding it and really just sharing it through word of mouth. So it was all very lucky. I'm much more active with outreach now, because it's always important to get free educational resources out there.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
But even more so now, I just feel like, there's a lot of noise and we need to support teachers as much as possible.
Yeah, no, and I love that it's curated, it's diverse, it's free and accessible everywhere, I would imagine. And so I'm curious, you obviously your son was sort of the beginning of this, or the origin of it. Do the kids contribute to this now? Are they sending you links, or are they kind of moved on?
It's a little ebb and flow. I mean, certainly when they were little, in that kind of sweet spot of a little bit of maturity and attention, somewhere between 4 and 11. They were definitely contributing a lot. I might have a whole bunch of videos. I'm like, okay, which ones do we want to look at? Or they'd have questions and, we should find a video on that. And that was always great. Occasionally now, I mean, they are now they're rising freshman and senior in high school. So, they've got their own stuff going on, but they definitely know the brand, the tone of the videos that we like. And so they'll be like, oh, I don't think that's not it. Or they'll, I saw something at school. You should check this out. So I still get support here and there, which is great.
So I'm curious what that was like, those early sessions when they were younger and you had a bunch of videos. I'm curious, what was the criteria by which they were like, no, I don't think that's the one, Mom? Or was that more you?
They were pretty well curated coming to them, I would say. The times that I can think that they did not like something was when something was a little too maybe scary or intense. I mean, especially for my daughter at the time, who was much younger. And since we didn't watch much media, I really took that to heart and listened to her. And so there were a couple things. But I also think of the site now, especially that it's expanded so much and there's so many. It used to be just kind of single serve all the way down, and now I've really structured it. I redesigned the site probably, 10 years ago to be more of a collection, a library that you could look up things based on topics. And they are either related really specifically, or you might get a topic that kind of bridges a lot of different disciplines. And so there's a really lovely connection and ebb and flow. And so something like, I went to a film festival when I was maybe 9 or 10, I think, here in LA. It was a little independent indie animation film festival. And I saw like Plimptoons and a couple of like Oscar winning like animated shorts. And I think it really had an influence on how I feel about younger kids seeing stuff that's maybe for a broader audience, that we can handle it at that age. And as long as we got support and conversation around us and it's, age appropriate, that it could be really great. We don't have to just be like, oh, go watch the Kids Network 100% of the time. And so, there definitely was an animated short that kind of freaked her out then, that I did not put on then, but now that there's such a broad range and it's easier to find a variety in a collection that, you can find something and you can decide, oh, that's not for us. I did put it on there because it was an animated short that I saw in that film festival. And, I think it's called Balance, and it's I can send you the link. It's really good.
Oh, okay. No, I'd love to see that. It sounds like
Yeah,
it really struck a chord with you
it did.
and resonated and
Hmm.
has
Yeah,
lived
but
on. I mean, all
yeah.
these years.
And I think between that and just when I was little, really it was PBS. You were watching
Hmm.
Sesame Street and you were watching, all of
I
those
grew up with that. I
public
remember,
media.
yeah, we were not allowed to watch much else, but there
Yes.
was a lot to go on. There was a lot happening there. And the Bloodhound Gang. Do you remember the Bloodhound Gang?
I remember them. I didn't watch that one.
Okay.
I
That was
watched,
sort of the detective one. They were like the Hardy Boys or something.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I think that, when you think of Mr. Rogers' little field trips out to
Hmm.
the crayon factory, or just a lot of those like animated shorts that Sesame Street would have, where they're kind of comparing and contrasting things, or just all of those are so amazing. That's kids media that adults kind of enjoy sitting down, and I don't think that's just nostalgia. It's just generally entertaining made by adults that
Hmm.
also loved to make and watch that stuff. So I
Yeah.
think there's a bridge there, for
Abs-
education.
Absolutely. And I think it's sort of that sense of wonder that I
Hmm.
think we all have, regardless
100%.
of your age. There's that curiosity. And
Hmm.
I think, maybe we take for granted a little bit that, Sesame Street and those sorts of shows that, I mean, that was a completely new way of
Hmm.
doing things. It
Hmm.
wasn't sort of this very top down kind of approach to education, but it was very much sort of, let's get down with the children. Let's get
Hmm.
down and look at things from their perspective. And um, I would be surprised if there's anybody our age that doesn't talk highly
Yeah.
about the influence that those shows had.
Yeah. And, at the same time, they were talking very authentically from their own point of view. So
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
wasn't, it wasn't made, they were talking at the kids' level, but it wasn't made smaller for kids, so to
Yes.
speak.
Yeah.
And I think that awe and wonder is it's an essential ingredient for learning. I mean, they've done studies about this. I remember reading a study, I think it was out of Berkeley, where awe and wonder prime kids for being able to take in more, and
Hmm.
be interested and want to learn. And it creates more of a sponge effect for like everything that follows it. And so, and why not? It's like everything. There's so many amazing things. Why aren't we shining lights on those? And I wish the algorithms would push those a little more than what they do push.
Yeah, yeah, it's an ongoing frustration that there can't be, because there is so much joy, there is
Hmm.
so much curiosity and excitement out there, uh, and I love that it exists. Except to your point, it's hard to find sometimes. There's so
Yeah.
much noise and so much going on, that to be able to have that curated is such a wonderful thing to have.
Yeah. I think it's, I always enjoy doing it. I'm learning as I'm curating. I over almost 14 years, I've built kind of a little mini network of museum producers and
Mm.
different organizations, different science communicators and artists that I follow and trust with
Mhm.
really amazing content, who I know are doing the due diligence and are earnest, you know um, educators themselves who want to do this, and really they're putting that stuff out. They might have sponsors, they might have jobs doing it, but they want to get that information out to people, and that's really their prime driver of why they've chosen that career, that job,
Mhm.
and those interests. And so, having that network, I'm constantly learning. I think it's just really great. Most people, between work and taking care of kids and stuff, they don't have time to do that. And so having a resource where you can go to that, and it's not, it's not Khan Academy. So they're
Yep.
not full lessons, but
Mhm.
it's also not, the open internet where you might find something, but you'd probably be bombarded with unboxings and, live stream gamer situations and
Yeah, yeah,
whatever maybe more toxic things that you'd want to
yeah.
avoid.
I was just thinking about it. It's almost, I just had this thought where it's almost like sort of a digital version of what I grew up with, where, you kind of just go out the door and go do something and go
Hmm.
explore. and you maybe you're in the woods, maybe you're riding a bike, maybe you're but there was this sense of wonder and curiosity, and you were
Mm-hmm.
learning, but it wasn't structured
Yeah.
in a way that school is, or Khan Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love the idea of this
Nothing
sort of,
against them. They're
no, no, no,
excellent.
no, absolutely not. And but I
Just,
get your point. It's
yeah.
that like, ooh, what's that? And oh,
Yeah.
this is interesting, and this leads to this, and that led
Mm-hmm.
over here.
Yeah, it's
And
you can go down the rabbit hole, but if you're staying on the site, it's a relatively for you safe rabbit hole to
yep.
be like exploring. And
Mm-hmm,
there's a lot of
mm-hmm.
really amazing creators that I've said this before. You might, or I often see on YouTube channels, there'll be an amazing video. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh God, they're interviewing a scientist who's dedicated their lives to this really specific subject, and it's beautifully produced, great lighting, great sound, and there's all these like images and graphics and resources that they have from their archives, and it's got like 450 views, and you're like, oh no,
This is terrible. What the
it's a
heck?
crime,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so I mean, I am a small site, but I am doing my best to amplify excellent work. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have a network of friends who have larger sites, and if they pick that up, then it spreads, as the as one would hope the internet can spread good things.
Absolutely. And I think, as you said there, it's amplifying something, and we're all doing that in our own way.
Mm-hmm.
Some small, some large, some much larger. And it's, the technology and the internet is a platform,
Mm-hmm.
and people will share all sorts of different things. And I
Mm-hmm.
like to focus, and like this podcast, I'm highlighting those good things, the people
Mm-hmm.
that are doing good things, the amazing things that are going on out there, because from a pure survival instinct, human beings, you will find all the negative things and the things that we need to be worried about. You don't have to like seek that.
Mm-hmm.
And the internet is true of that too. So
Mm-hmm.
to start to retrain or change your behaviors to find those really wonderful, empowering, curious, conversation sparking
Yes.
videos or things out there is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really fun. I enjoy it very much.
I'm curious, so you're obviously putting this collection together, you're curating it. Do you have any materials on there that are sort of like around curriculums or other support elements, or is it really just like, hey, I've done the work, here's all this content, do with it what you need to do?
Mm-hmm. So people can search by topic by
Mm-hmm.
clicking on topic tags, and so it brings up new collections. And a lot of times when I do run into resources that might be, for example, when I run into a site like the Exploratorium up in San Francisco, or any NASA related stuff, usually, or perhaps it's related podcast, I will link to those resources.
Mm-hmm.
I'll usually summarize what's going on in the video. I'm linking to related videos on the site, and I'm linking out to resources where I found more information that I trust, and maybe where I've gotten the information that I'm sharing. And so there are all of those kind of pathways out. In addition, because the site is free, I think it was right before the pandemic, and then 100% in on the pandemic, I started a membership to help support the site.
Mm-hmm.
And so anybody who wants to join at one of the 3 levels, I'm really starting to send out more resources for that, because I think especially in this climate for education, just the more support that we can give, the better. So in fact, now that the school year is like slowing down, I'm going to be spending a lot of the summer kind of ramping up on providing more resources and more general ways to look at how to educate with videos in the classroom, or watch videos at home. And it could be loosey goosey, and you could just turn it on and watch and have fun. Or if you want to spark further conversation and ask about, oh, what'd you think of that? And share what you thought, and, find related things to do. Maybe, there's always topics, and then maybe a little DIY project you can do with it. So just trying to connect those dots for people. So again, it's easier for busy people.
Yes. I'm curious, do you get feedback from teachers, parents? Are you hearing? I hope you're hearing positive
I
stories about all the things that you're doing and all the things you're
yeah.
bringing.
I mean, it's funny. Years ago on Twitter, when it was a more of a thriving space, I used to get a lot of direct feedback from the educator channels and the
Hmm.
creator channels that I was involved in. Now, it's been really, that is gone.
Yep.
And everybody's distributed on many different things. But I've actually been getting connected with people through encouraging more writing back to me through my newsletter. I
Yeah.
have a weekly and a daily newsletter, so that you don't miss a video, or that, I can write about some of these issues and you might read about that and see what
Hmm.
I've posted recently. And people have been writing back. And actually, just this week, I got this really amazing email from a teacher who was retiring. She taught third and fourth grade, and she shared that she used to, for every subject that she was coming up with, she'd look on my site to see what creators were on there that maybe covered that topic that she might be able to integrate to get the kids interested. And she said that it helped deepen learning for kids and got them excited, and maybe clicked in that a little bit of that awe. And it's exactly how I'm hoping people can use it, and find a resource and find it helpful for what they're doing with their training and their
Yeah.
outreach to all the kids that they're reaching.
I love that. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and we were talking about. I definitely have aspects of I love to teach and
Mm.
empower, but I never really think of the work I do in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just talking about, as a teacher, that really it's about that you're creating this legacy within each person that you touch.
Mm.
A
Mm-hmm.
curiosity about life, a curiosity for learning, and you never know kind of how those little seeds that you've planted
Mm-hmm.
will turn into something in their career or their life, or how they'll have those moments later. And I think that's sort of one of the wonders and the joys of being that person. And I feel like that's an aspect of what you're helping support
Mm-hmm. I
in
hope so.
people.
I
Hmm.
hope so. I mean, and I think it makes it fun to watch, videos where, you might have a science communicator who's like, I don't know, maybe they're demonstrating something blowing up, or overflowing, or
Yeah.
something a little messy. And it's fun to watch that stuff, as I would think, as a teacher. If you're in the classroom, you see all the kids go, ah,
Yeah.
that's amazing, and everybody wants to talk about it, and like that makes it more fun, and then that kind of makes you more fun, and everybody's engaged. and
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
just think that's so important. So the site, continues to grow as a library for being able to find that stuff.
Wonderful. And do you have any new plans for it in terms of where you want to see it going? Or you're trying to continue to provide that value and gain support. So I'm curious if there's anything upcoming that you're thinking
There's a
about.
there's a couple of things. I'm always tinkering. I worked in digital collections through much of my design career, and
Hmm.
so kind of having a digital collection, an interactive site, is very close to my heart. And so now I'm really just making sure it's staying up and running and doing well. And then for members, I'm also, you can bookmark different videos. I want
Hmm.
to expand that capability a little bit. I want to start taking videos and pinning them on a map so you can search geographically through stuff, because I think that, the more that we can associate, you might watch something about a tiger,
Hmm.
but not really kind of understand like where you're looking. And I think if you're like searching over that map, it's just very visually, you can see, oh, these elephants here versus these elephants there, you know or what kind of work they're doing in different countries, different conservation efforts. And
Yeah.
so it's a lot of like little technical things that I want to provide for members, so that um, it just makes the site even more, gives it more depth and has more fun for everybody.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, so I knew it in the green room. I mentioned this. You kind of went, "Oh no!" But like, so you've got a lot going on.
Hmm.
Parent, you're an educator. You're curating videos. What do you like to do to kind of just relax or kind of kick back and recharge?
Yeah, well, given that I work at home for a lot of the time. I do actually have a native garden in front and in back. We renovated the house a few years ago, and so we had the opportunity to take what was mostly dirt and had previously been lawn and make it into an ecosystem with full of native plants that are local to Los Angeles. And we've got a lot of issues with supporting our insects. There's such massive declines in insects and birds. And so, with I try to make the house a little oasis for them. We've got a lot of different plants for pollinators, a lot of spaces to hide for the local lizards, and I've got water available for birds on hot days, and all that kind of stuff. It's really essential that maybe we start taking, if everybody took just a little chunk of their land and returned it back to what was there before, a little bit of even one native plant or some wildflowers that are appropriate for here, it really helps, whether you're supporting the monarchs coming through or you're supporting like all the different animals in the ecosystem that are around you all the time. It's just if we could build a little web of support for them. And, I think between that and the climate, and these are all important topics that are also addressed on the site in really age appropriate ways. And, so it's kind of connected, but
absolutely. I think
it's nature time for me.
I was going to say, it's a wonderful example, I think, of much like what you're doing with your site, that it's each person is doing it in their own way. And so for you, it's the site and then building this wonderful ecosystem around your home. And not surprisingly, I mean, you and I both, it's like digital constantly. Yeah. And so it's like, can we do something else? Can we get our hands dirty? Can we get out in the front of nature?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. I enjoy it.
Well, I really appreciate getting this chance to chat, because
I appreciate you asking.
you and I we go back to college. I mean, it's been, I don't want to count the years, but it's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. And I've always appreciated that we can touch base, every few years here or there, and we kind of pick up, and you're always doing something interesting and inspiring. And so
thank you.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
thank
definitely.
you. Well, I love talking with you. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And so before we go, is there anything that, ways that people can engage with you, engage with the site, support what you're doing? How can people do that if they'd like to join?
Sure. So the URL is thekidshouldseethis.com. TKSST.com should also work. Or if you just Google The Kids Should See This, it will come up. And then there's a newsletter that you can sign up for, and that will always get you into the site's ecosystem. And you see all the new videos and see what you like.
That's awesome. All right. So everyone out there who's watching this or listening to this, if you are not familiar with this site, I highly recommend you go check it out. Whether you have kids or not, it's incredibly engaging and interesting, and I'm sure it will have those moments of joy where you're like, oh, I remember this when I was in science class, or when I was at the park, or when I was somewhere. So
and it's a lot of viral fun too. It's like I have a lot of non-parents and non-educator audience as well. So it's just fun for everybody.
Awesome. All right. Well, Rion, I want to thank you again. So good to connect. And thank you so much for sharing what you are up to and for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
To bring about some, sparking curiosity, sparking conversations, and helping us all grow and learn together. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful rest of the day and a great weekend. And with that, I'll say au revoir.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. This has been a wonderful conversation. So thanks again to Rion. I just appreciate so much the work that she is doing. And thank you to everyone who joined us. Please give us a follow or a subscription on Instagram or YouTube. And if you enjoyed this, I would love to see you on the next Impact Tribe podcast, which is going to be Thursday, June 19th, with my special guest, Tyler Jackson. Tyler is a customer success manager at Mind You, where he leverages AI-enabled programs to transform patient care for healthcare organizations. With a master's in public health from Tulane University and training from the Changemaker Institute, he has helped improve care outcomes for more than 30,000 patients. So be sure and tune in for that. It's going to be a wonderful conversation. And until next time, thanks to everyone for creating a positive impact in your world. Together, we can make change happen. All right. Thank you, everyone. Cheers.